Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. They've got over 180,000 different audiobooks to choose from. So find something and enjoy. Thanks, guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Jumbled, your favorite podcast about nothing. I'm finally Zach.
You're finally Zach.
Yeah.
Like you've been waiting for a while. I'm Johnny. Fuck you, Zach. And with us today is my good friend Frank.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, Frank.
Howdy-ho.
So Zach's complaining because we were supposed to record roughly an hour ago, and we tried to get fancy and we failed, so we're caveman styling it.
Yeah.
But it's work, you know, and I just really believe in the keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
And I also hate technology, which you guys all know I've said quite many times.
I feel like 75% of Jumbled episodes are starting off with us just having some sort of technical difficulty or something isn't working correctly. So I'm used to it at this point.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't have to spend like 2 hours in post. Fixing this one.
That's
It'll probably happen. It's Murphy's Law. I've been dealing with a lot of Murphy's Law recently, so I'm just prepared for anything at this point.
Yeah, in the early episodes, Frank, there was like a whine that was in the background from the microphones, and we couldn't figure out what was causing it. Mm-hmm. So Zach had to like edit it out every episode.
every time. Oh, that sounds really painful.
I look at it as you're getting a free education and practice in sound engineering, so
Yeah.
you should be happy. Anyways, but in classic Jumbled form, we are going off topic, and that's what this podcast is really about. But we're bringing Frank on to talk about his new clothing line company that he started, and I'll let him do a bit of an intro. But it's close to my heart. Obviously, I love supporting Calgary businesses and my friends. But there's an added twist to this one, which I think everyone will appreciate. So I'll hand it over to you, Frank.
Yeah, so basically I started a clothing company. It's called 3310. Funny thing about that is I'm having like a really huge SEO problem with like the Nokia 3310.
Oh, really?
So you have to type out 33TEN and then it'll come up on Google. So I
was wondering about that actually.
Yeah, so I gotta iron that out, but other than that, yeah, it's been keeping me busy and I've been meeting a lot of new people. For those of you in the radio world, you can't really see it, but I have one of my photographers here, David.
Hello.
He's doing a behind the scenes, or like the young kids like to say, #BTS.
Is that a thing? Ooh, I'm learning so many fun things right now.
Oh, so I've learned a lot of new lingo because my target demographic is
younger,
18 to 24, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So
we're a lot older than that now.
No, that's okay. Yeah, everybody, like young or old, can wear a hoodie.
That's
that
true.
says 3310. That donates to CMHA for to help fight depression and anxiety. So that's the main cause of it. So
that's awesome. So for those of you who don't know, or for our American listeners, CMHA is Canadian Mental Health Association. And I would say working in the nonprofit is one of the premier mental health organizations that you can support. So I was obviously pretty pleased that you picked CMHA.
Yeah.
I've worked with them in a few different capacities, and they're pretty fantastic. So I'm glad you did that. So my question for you is, what's the meaning behind 3310 and why that name?
Yeah, so there's a long story about it, but basically, like when I was younger, like things didn't make sense. Like it was like confusing, and like I would suffer through depression, like mild and then severe, and never really understood why. And then last year in 2018, I on the 10th month in October, I'm 33, so basically I was 33, and in October I actually went to go see my doctor, and it helped. So basically, you know, like I thought about it, I was like, you know, if I was younger and I was made aware, you know, like I'd be in a way better place. Like I'd be, you know, probably somewhere else, like maybe with more money or whatever it may be, or a better career. But like, I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing now. But so I wanted to make people aware. So I created a clothing company that, it's like the main target demographic is 18 to 24 or 16 to 24. So the streetwear that I make, it's more minimal, but like it's more directed towards them. And I just want to donate and make it aware that like you're not alone if you're fighting through mental battles. So
why I wanted to bring you on is we had a micro episode and we were talking about CTE and
I listened to that episode. It was
like
really
my TBIs, and like that there's like a actual physical thing that's causing you the way you feel, and that when you're a kid and you don't really understand that, it's hard to get through or navigate. But once you know that it's like, oh, this is something with my body, and you start recognizing when you're going through that, it makes it a lot easier to, one, reach out for help and sort out those feelings. So that's why I was pretty stoked when you started this company. Obviously, we've been friends for, it's kind of scary.
Knows. Yeah,
like
so
12.
long.
I was trying to do the math today before you got here, like 12 years, 10 years? 12
Yeah,
years?
I would say.
A long time.
Like, when did you get that blue Evo? Was like
2000 and... No, I guess not quite 10. It would have been 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
We're reaching 9 years.
Yeah. So coming up close to a decade. So I actually met Frank through the car scene. I had a car, and it was a nice car, but it was a fucking lemon. and Frank saved my ass on that thing quite a few times.
Yeah.
So we just started, hanging out in that respect, and then just one thing leads to another, and now we're buddies.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I like it too. It's great. And now I'm buddies with Zach, and
There we go.
I can see you.
Hey. Yeah.
You can see Zach, but he can't. He can see my
You
elbow.
can't see me.
I can't.
You
I
can
can't
see my finger.
There you go. I can see Frank's finger. I'm fine with it. I was just saying before we hit record, we should have had a fisheye lens over the. I would have been able to see everybody that way, but I'm fine with it. I just enjoy the conversation more than actually seeing people. So it's all good. I can see a clear view of Johnny's dick table, and my eye just keeps getting drawn to it.
Oh, the fucking dick table.
So tell me more about this dick table. Like, it's littered with dicks.
So the dick table originated in roughly 2011, maybe 2012, and it's your standard plastic fold-up table that we bought for one of my buddy's bachelor parties. He's a bridezilla, or a groomzilla, I should say. Shout out to Matt. And we used it just originally to put Chinese food on, because we ordered a bunch of Chinese food. And then it became a beer pong table, and there's Sharpies. So then people started drawing shit on it and signing. And all my friends are really immature, and the common theme was dicks.
What?
So then it became,
with you? Yeah. I can't even believe that, dude.
And so then it became a portable beer pong table, which we carried with a Sharpie. So there's, people just kind of added to it. And once you see one dick and you open up that dick floodgate, all of the dicks come forward. So I've had this table for a long time, and it was in my mom's basement for a while, and then I thought I lost it, and then I found it, and I brought it home, and Al was not pleased. So now it's hidden away in my basement that I record on with you every week.
It's really got quite some character. Like, for all you radio people out there that can't see, or podcast people, there's a dick with hair. There's a really detailed dick with veins.
A really clean one as well.
There's a big one.
Yeah, there's a real big one.
There's a teeny one.
Yep,
and there's one where it looks like it's shooting out fire. So
yes, there's a fire dick. There's a lion dick.
Oh,
this is my favorite. Its name is the Belion.
That looks like a lamb.
It's a bear lion dick.
Belion.
So this table has some history, and though it's embarrassing, and I've definitely had like parents, or when we got married and people were doing a tour of the house, people came down here and it could like all family and kids like see this table. I'm just like, God damn it, John.
Well,
get a fucking tablecloth.
Look on the bright side. I like to think of it as you are including all of the different types of dicks. Every single type of dick is represented on that table. It's a very inclusive sort of thing that you're working with right now. So you know what? Props to you, dude.
Yeah, there's some interesting scenes. There's some anal sex scenes. Yeah,
Oh,
like I said, my
okay.
friends are fucked up. But there are some boobs, so that's,
That's
balances it
good,
out. But anyways, the real reason why Frank is here. So 3310, obviously close to your heart. Seems like it's doing really well. The styles are awesome. I know your website is sold out a bunch. So what are your your next steps, or what are your goals for where would you want to see it in the next year or so?
Business wise, like I do want to see growth. More so, what's more important is I just want to make more people aware. So hopefully I'm going to apply to get a pop-up shop, like a pop-up table at Lilac Festival.
Nice.
And then have some of my team work with me that day, and then just basically make more people aware that you're not alone. And it was really weird. Like before I saw my doctor, shout outs to Dr. Johnson, by the way, he's awesome, Dr. Radsfeld Johnson, and I wouldn't understand why I would feel sad so randomly, or like I was just irritated and whatnot. And it affects everybody, young, old, gay, straight, rich, poor, whatever. It'll affect everybody. So within the next year, I want to make more people aware, and I want to expand. And it's great. I just recently got into a automotive retail store up in Edmonton. So now 3310 is up in Edmonton for all you YEG listeners up there.
We do have some Edmonton listeners, actually.
So the shop is called Envision Auto. They're really great. They're helping us spread the word and help fight the cause. So that's my main goal right there, and just to build the brand and build it stronger and more impactful towards fighting mental health.
So we've definitely talked a few times about our personal challenges. Have you had many other people reach out to you and that you never would have thought? Because I know it's one of those often hidden challenges that people face, and when they're feeling that way, they hide away. But to see someone take a public stand and fight that stigma, I'm sure that inspires a lot of people to share their story.
Yeah. So some of the Instagram influencers that have reached out to me, I didn't even believe they went through their own mental struggles, and they're very, very beautiful looking people, and you never would think that they would go through some mental health battles with themselves, but they have, and I've talked to them about their story, and it's amazing what they've achieved and overcame, and that's why they wanted to collaborate with me, and it was really awesome to hear their story, and yeah, we're all here to help everybody out. It's iconic people helping iconic people, so
I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But you also kind of ruined my next question for you, was to talk about the banging models you get. But now that there's an actual heartfelt and emotional connection, it just feels wrong to be how do you find these incredibly good-looking women?
everybody's beautiful in their own way.
That is true. Fuck, you're just crushing me on this podcast.
Everybody is beautiful in their own way. Johnny, you're beautiful. You're tall. Tall, your beard doesn't grow like mine. It's full. Mine's patchy.
Have you seen Zach's beard? This guy is the model
beard.
beard.
That is a manly beard.
He grows
Zach
that
hey,
in
guys.
a week.
Yeah, I was clean shaven last week.
That was 1 week?
No.
It's wow.
But it's fast. It's real fast. Zach has a story when we were in university together that we did a beard off. I'm pretty sure I won, but he's adamant that we didn't. And basically we both shaved, and then we took a picture every day to see if his beard would grow faster.
Yeah.
I lost horribly, I'll admit that.
Although I will say at that point my beard wasn't I think it hadn't hit its stride yet, My beard didn't really start coming along until probably after graduation.
But now it's a full beard. It is a very full beard.
Yeah, this is since the start of November. I shaved it off for No Shave November. On Halloween, I clean shaved my face, and then I haven't really touched it since then. It's been shaped up and stuff by a barber, but that's it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. So growing the business, obviously getting sales up. What are your marketing strategy right now? Instagram is obviously the premier place to go, and you guys have a really great Instagram, and it's actually been cool to swipe through my feed and start seeing your stuff come up, which I know part of it is like Instagram's algorithm of like people or connections, but it's cool to see that stuff come up. And obviously your media game is on point. You have a great photographer, one of them which is with us now, documenting this shit show of us setting up microphones. But it's okay. We're feeding them with beer and butter tarts. So what more could you ask for?
Yeah,
really?
what more could you ask for? Beer and butter tarts, 100%. Sorry, what was that? What was the question?
Just what's your?
I was thinking about beer and butter tarts.
Frank, you
Dude, nobody
fit into
blames you,
Jumbled perfectly. This is
Yeah.
So what? But basically, what's your marketing strategy? How else are you getting out there? What's the process actually to just get into storefronts? Like how did your first one happen, or is it just connections through people and someone approached you, or you?
It's a bit of both. Like, when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you have to work really, really hard to make it successful. And it's funny because one photo on Instagram, like there's a huge backstory behind that one photo. I mean, like I had David do the last photo shoot. It was like on a 29th floor luxury condo high rise with Janaea and Angela. Those girls, like they killed it, and David killed it as well. But like there was a lot of I had Brittany, who shout outs to Brittany. She's been helping out a lot lately with 3310. She, like, we have to do like styling. We have to kind of do a deep a briefing prior to the shoot, and there's just like so much like organization. So like for me to get into that retail store, I really had to reach out, and I had to work really hard at it. And then when I contacted Gerald at Envision, I was like, listen, this is my company. I want to like get into retail, and he thought it was a great idea. We'll give it a try. And so that's how I got up there. And then when I went up there, I made like a full day of it. Like I booked 2 influencers up there. So shout outs to Serena and Lauren. Those girls were really, really awesome to work with. And, had to rent a really nice spot location for the photo shoot. And, there's a lot of back end stuff that you have to do when it comes to social media, and a lot of people don't realize that. But like to make one Instagram photo perfect, like it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, talking to you as we're setting up and getting a better sense of all the effort that goes into it. You see, like these awesome shots. So obviously you need to find talent to take the shot. You need to find talent to model, and that is a skill that I don't think people truly appreciate or understand how much effort it goes into. And then just putting it all together it's a lot more than my garbage Instagram, where I think my first post of the day was, look, I'm eating 5 eggs.
Well, who doesn't like eating 5 eggs? Like I love eggs.
I think the caption was, be fat with me.
Be fat with me. Let's eat scrambled eggs over easy.
Like, eat a lot of eggs.
It's good protein. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's a lot of work, and like even aside from the marketing side, like I'm still working on, like I still have like a calendar, like I have like a daily routine of like my daily tasks, my weekly tasks, my monthly tasks to do on the back end side. I'm doing a collaboration with one influencer he's in the car scene. There's going to be a really amazing backstory about that, but I just don't want to say too much just yet. But I found an artist from Britain for the design that we needed, and I found an artist from Great Britain who I really wanted her design, and then we were going to go through escrow for the payment and whatnot, but it kind of fell through. So like stuff like that happens, and then I had to find a local artist to render a design for this collaboration. And so now that design's that limited edition line is like already pushed back a couple weeks, which makes me sad, but it is what it is. And you just got to do the best you can. So yeah, there's a lot of back end stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure you've learned a lot, and then even production. So do you want to talk about the process for how production happens? So design, I didn't know if you were doing some of the design, or if you came up with the logo, or you're working with local people, and then So you have a vision, you put it together. This is what I want a hoodie to look like. I'm wearing one right now, Zach. Be jealous.
I see it. It looks really, really great.
It's super comfy.
Yeah.
And it's cold in my basement, so it's real fitting. So what's the process for that to, you know, have a vision, you put a design together, and then production, and how do you manage like inventories, or if you want to share where you're getting them made? I know there's some cool little Frank features is what I'm calling them right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So like a lot of the designs on the current garments that I have on the website, they're like a little bit more minimal. So they're not too out there. That hoodie that you're wearing is called the Unsung Heroes. That design is like kind of pertaining to the JDM import car scene. So it's got like that big red sun, and then with the 33 in front of it. And then I chose the Unsung Heroes because everybody can be an unsung hero in some way at some time in their life, you know, like whether it be somebody that just, you know, pulled a kid off the street before it got hit by a car and then he just like walked away, he'd be an unsung hero. So that's kind of my direction with my designs and stuff. And I really want to work with a lot of like graphic artists and a lot of talented artists out there to get their name out. And that's why for the collaboration that I'm doing with David for his car, I picked a different artist besides me just drawing out something, right? So
it's got a different perspective.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's getting somebody's name out there and it's making them feel special, you know, and like 3310 is about community and family as well, right? Hence why, honestly, I think it was like my Christmas Day post, like if you find yourself like you're not around the like close ones, just message us, like we'll go for coffee or something, or we'll just like DM us and like we'll chit chat, you know, like we're all about like making everybody feel welcome. And so yeah, so my design wise, like I love to collab with like everybody, and there's a lot in the works. Like we just started and I feel like we're still in startup, but you know, like any of you people out there that have really wicked designs, just DM me. Like I'd love to like hear your story and like see your design and throw it on a shirt and get it out there and get your name out, you know what I mean?
I was just thinking about that community aspect and the power of social media. So if there were people who were, you know, feeling down, obviously they could reach out to 3310, but
100%.
it'd be an interesting, like, I don't know how you would do this, because I'm fucking old, I think of a forum basis of putting together
Forums are dead.
forums are dead, but useful. Even
how to fix my car.
Yeah, even though Photo Bucket ruined like decades of car forums.
Yeah.
But just, you know what, like, is there a way to build like a community or a place for people who could reach out to other people who, you know, obviously are 3310 supporters? And I'm just spitballing ideas at you right now, but
yeah,
I think that might be kind of a cool added feature too. I'm not just buying a hoodie, I'm not supporting my friend or a cause, but there's a lot more that goes into it, like almost like a 3310 helpline that's not just you, because that would be a lot to take on.
I thought I thought about that. So I was manifesting how I can like bring the community together, and not just on social media and online, because you kind of want to have like face-to-face interactions with people. And so this year I do have a lot of plan of doing a lot of car meets for all the car guys, you know, and what else? I'm drawing a blank. I'm saying a lot. Oh,
it's all right. It's all right. That was one of the things about podcasting when we first started doing it. And I would listen back, and I would say like a lot.
I feel like I'm saying like a lot right now.
I haven't noticed it, so don't stress.
Okay.
And then I went from like
Zach,
to...
have you been noticing it? Or?
I haven't, actually. I think where Johnny was going with it is there's a lot of sort of growing pains that happens with having to hear yourself talk.
Oh, I hated listening to myself.
I still hate hearing myself.
I try not to. Honestly, I love doing the podcast. I try not to listen to it anymore because I get into that. I listen back to it, but I try not to listen too closely to myself.
Well, you have to listen to it in post, so that probably kills a lot of that. But
yeah, well, and some of that has gone away. A little bit of laziness has taken over too, where I'm just like, it's fine. There's nothing I need to.
Together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a moment in last week's episode where we said we were going to bleep something out, and I didn't I just didn't. I didn't bleep it.
I don't even remember what we said we were gonna bleep. Oh, it was your wife's name.
Yeah. Yep. And so that happened, and then
she beat you like a rented mule.
Yeah. And so I've just been sort of slinking around my house and trying to steer clear,
tiptoeing away.
Yeah.
No, that's great. So, more designs, collaborating with local artists. I think that's fantastic. I think the idea of building a community, and I think about the brands that I like to support or that I've been dedicated to, and there's that community aspect to it. It's more than, like, I think about people who wear like Gucci or Armani, and to any of our listeners, Zach's going to be like, God, you're just scaring away all of our listeners. That I just think like you're wearing that just as like a status thing, but what does that really, like, what does that brand mean to you? And maybe it's because I'm old and big-hearted, soft heart. But I think like I want to associate myself with brands that are more than just how can we sell and look at this flashiness. So that's why I was really stoked that you came up with this idea. And I think that community aspect is really what. And maybe it's tough at first, but like you said, starting any business is going to be a challenge. But I think if you nail that, which I think you're onto something, that it'll be pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. Like I said, when I started up, I wanted to figure out how to bring people together. So, local photographers that are talented, such as David here, he's going to be, meeting more influencers that I bring together. And wow, I'm like thinking about trying not to say a lot. Now it's like really psyching me out.
So I went from saying like all the time to I mean. So I replaced like with I mean.
Yeah. Anyways, so I want to do more like social events like that, and I want to basically, have fun gatherings where, so and so will meet so and so, and they'll gel well with each other, and they become friends, and it's like almost behind the curtains where you build a community because you're making friends. And David has now met Angela and like a couple influencers that he worked with, and now they're in talks about doing a new photo shoot separate from 33, which is amazing. And so it's like growing and building community like that. And so I want to do more fun events like that, and get people out. If you are stuck at home and you're feeling down, you don't know what's going on, please don't hesitate to DM us, and then hey, what's your guys' next event? I'm like, oh, hey, we're all gonna go bowling here,
I think that's the big thing, is sometimes just having a comfortable place to reach out, and then that it's people who understand what you're going through. Speaking of which, so whenever, David, you need a male model, let me know.
Absolutely.
I'm a little bit fluffy right now, but
sorry, we got the sweater.
The sweater, yeah, that's right.
Sweater cover.
I'll send Zach some merch. I really want that beard on my Instagram.
Oh, dude, totally, absolutely. Send it out. My wife actually has a really nice DSLR camera, so we can take some good photos and send them your way. And more than happy to pimp myself out to a great cause.
I'm gonna just design a shirt that's just Zach's beard
with a big Z on it.
Yeah,
Z,
there
like
you go.
Zorro.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like this. I'm horrible at graphic design, but I'm gonna start sending you shit, and you'll be like, I wish I didn't tell them that. What have I done?
Like, hey, Johnny, listen, that was the 50th design you sent me in one day.
Why do they all have dicks in them?
And why did you name them?
I can only draw one thing, and it's a Bolian, okay?
A Bolian.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey guys, let's take a second to talk about our sponsor for today, Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. The book that we are going to recommend for the month of February is, drumroll, Napalm and Silly Putty by George Carlin. This is a throwback. It was released back in 2011. Obviously, George has left this planet. He's been gone for a bit. So this is a good throwback one. It's narrated actually by George Carlin as well. Something to definitely check out, look into. If you don't know about George Carlin, then where have you been? George Carlin is one of the best comedians of all time. Highly recommend looking into this one. Again, that is Napalm and Silly Putty by George Carlin. It is 2 hours and 28 minutes long, so it's a little bit shorter, but it's still really, really good. So if you like what you hear from me, then get that. If you want to find something else, totally cool. They have over 180,000 different titles for you to find something, anything that you can relate to. And we hope that you enjoy. Thanks, Audible, and let's get back to the podcast.
So how do you feel about, now Zach, I know this maybe isn't overly exciting to you, but because Frank and I have a car connection, how do you feel about the car scene in Calgary right now? For those of you who don't know, or Zach, you maybe don't know, Frank was probably one of the biggest influencers in my car creations, but also I think in the car community in Calgary, being part of a pretty successful shop who had a lot of great builds and won a lot of trophies. So how do you feel about the current car state? If you don't want to comment, you don't have to, but I know I have some perspectives and why I've kind of hidden away from it. But again, maybe it's just because I'm old.
Well, life is changing. Everything changes. It's inevitable. So that's my comment to it. It's changed. In a good way, and in a bad way. But,
there's absolutely good things. I don't want to come off as shitting on the car community.
No. But definitely it's changed a lot. Like when I was street racing, races would happen and everybody would, kind of just enjoy themselves at the end of the night and be like, oh, that race was sick. And, there was some beef with some people here and there, but I mean,
it was small.
Yeah, it was small.
Yeah.
I personally am not like really big into the street racing scene now. Only because of my work, I'm dealing with more drag racing guys and alcohol pro mods and, people that actually take their build
on a track.
On a track kind of thing. So in terms of the street racing scene, I would have like no honest opinion about it because I wouldn't know. But I know that it's changed from what I hear, and good and bad. But, there's a lot of crazy cool cars coming out now, though. I don't know if anybody is out there listening and really into cars, but like they're putting Ferrari engines and Toyotas and
it's pretty insane. I had this when I was a kid and younger kid, I guess kid now, street racing, and then I got into like actual track racing. And you always think when you're younger you're a great driver until you go on a track, and then you realize that you're fucking garbage. And then once you get used to racing on a track or doing autocross and there's actually more skill to it, you go back to those meets and there's people racing and you're just like, it's just not worth it. It's just not a thing. But speaking of cars, Zach actually just got a new to him car, which was a giant upgrade. What did you get again, Zach?
So it's a 2014 Acura TL.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I mean, it's definitely a dad car, but it's the nicest car I've had in ever. None of my cars have been newer than 10 years old since I started driving back when I was 16. So I started out with.
You did have an MR2 though.
Yeah, I started out.
I was super jealous of the Gen 1 MR2.
Yeah, I had an 88 MR2, and that was sick. I love that car, and wish I could have held on to it, but dad life, can't fit kids in the front seat.
Of an MR2.
Of an MR2.
Zach's also 6'4", I think. You're 6'4".
Yeah, but honestly, really spacious inside of the MR2.
So it just stuck his head out the window.
Yeah, I caught a lot of bugs in my teeth, but
and that beard.
and the beard. But no, I love that car. And then we got rid of it, and then I got a '97 Chevy Malibu, which was good for.
Piece of shit.
It was good for me for a long time. It was good for me. It was good for me for a long, long time.
Zach went through a phase, especially in the early days of Jumbled, where he would do live while he was driving. So it would just be his phone mounted, and he'd be talking while in traffic, and his headliner in the back seat was dangling and falling apart, and
And
You
he's
like
just
hear the
talking to
muffler.
yeah, he's just talking to the phone or
Yeah,
whatever.
God damn it, Zach! Like at least trim that. Just trim it up a little bit.
No, dude.
No.
No, it gave
No,
it
builds
character.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
Don't
You know what,
reinforce that,
Frank? You know what, Frank? You get me, dude. Johnny,
I get it.
Johnny,
I get it.
Johnny, you're out.
Oh no,
Johnny's out of the
replaced.
podcast.
All right, excellent.
I don't know. I like hearing your voice. It's a very good. Both of you guys have really good radio voices. You know what I mean? It's
Oh,
very-
thank you.
My dad always said I had a face for radio.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why we don't do a lot of video, though. That is, I think, for our growth, that is an area that we've been talking about. But
Yeah, absolutely.
as we've learned today, I am not technologically sound. So,
Well, and
Yeah.
it's harder to do, because we're so far apart, So it's like there's that whole other thing. It's like so you're gonna record video on your side, and I'll record video on my side, and maybe we'll find some ways to do some screen capturing stuff. But then we still have to like splice it all together and post, and that's just like another thing to add on top. So it's like at that point we almost would have to get an editor or something like that to take over, because it's like that's just too much for working 40 hours a week. Plus, I don't spend a whole lot of time on the podcast, honestly. Editing and recording it doesn't take time. I mean, it just takes the time to record it. It's not like a whole lot of planning or like note taking. It's basically just me writing down ideas when I have them, when they pop into my mind throughout the week, but that takes a whole 2 seconds, So
I avoid post at all costs. Poor Zach. I also so I have a jumbled book. I actually lost it somewhere in here. I cleaned up the basement a little bit to make room for some tables. But we've talked about like feedback that we've gotten. It was like, oh, you guys, like, how do you keep conversations with, like, how much prep work goes into it? I was like, in the early days we would write down bits or like like questions, or I would look up like 100 philosophical questions, and then it got to the point where we were just so busy that it was like, oh, we have to record.
Let's just talk about whatever. Yeah.
But people like, I love that it's just like two dudes chilling and just shooting the shit. So it's in some ways kind of become a success for us in that sense.
Yeah.
Though there are times where we're like, oh yeah, so what'd you have for dinner?
Yeah.
It's true. Sometimes neither of us have like had really anything of note happen to us over the week, and so there are those moments where there's a little bit of a slow on the podcast, but then we have really good weeks. Like I really liked last week's episode, and it seemed like from front to back there wasn't really a whole lot of downtime as far as between thoughts or anything like that. So, and it helps to have guests on, honestly, because then the guests get to throw their sort of input in, and it hopefully is different enough from what we usually talk about, where it can offer some sort of variance on how the conversation goes.
Yeah, I would say one of my favorite parts about podcasts is bringing on guests, and I think similar to what you're doing is like getting people that I know or people that I think are cool to share what they're doing and building that community. And our platform's not, I wouldn't say huge, but we're doing pretty good. So it's great to be able to help support in those small ways. So
no, it's awesome. And also when you have somebody like myself come onto the podcast, now my reach has gone on to you, and so my audience has now reached out to you, and then
and vice versa,
and then the more you do that, the more your podcast grows, right? And that's funny story is like 4 years ago, my friend Gord, John, and I, we got onto this online radio station called Fresh FM, and we did on Thursdays, we called it Thursday Digital Podcast, and we would like play like an hour set each, and then record it, and then just like kind of put it on like the Fresh FM radio station, and it wasn't really like kind of growing, and then one day we just came up with the bright idea of having guest DJs on. And so every week there would be a guest DJ, and one of us would take a turn to sit out and not DJ and just hang out and whatever. And that actually grew our listener base so much more, because that DJ would be like, hey, listen to me on this radio show, radio station on Thursday. And then it just grew, and then, it was really cool. We did that for about a year, but then I was like, wow, every Thursday, committing to every Thursday is a lot.
It is a lot. It 100% is a lot. And we were pretty good, I think, until episode maybe early 90s, where we were like hardcore every Wednesday morning. We recorded either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, and then around Christmas we just like it's too much going on right now, and we did a couple re-releases and a couple smaller podcasts. Because it is a commitment to like get down for a couple hours, and definitely an energy level. There were a few Sunday nights when we first started recording where I would text Zach and be like, my head's not there. Like, I need to just, I need to relax.
And you want to put out good content too.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Right. But you also want to be consistent. Like that's been a big thing for me, is it's like, when I started the podcast, it was with the understanding that no matter how I felt, no matter what I was going through, there was going to be something that was released every week, whether that was like Johnny said, a re-release of a previous episode that we've, we call them jumbled rewinds, or if it's a micro podcast, or if it's just me jumping on literally for 5 minutes to say, hey, this is what's happening, but we'll be back next week, just so it's like there's no dead air, because I feel like that's more off-putting than putting out a 2-minute something. That just not hearing anything at all is more off-putting to people, I feel.
Well, I think especially in the technology and digital, and there's so much content in media that as soon as if you miss that, you miss 1 week, it's easy to just be like, okay, never go back.
Like, imagine that you have one listener that is a religious listener. They listen every week, and then all of a sudden 1 week they, for whatever reason, want to listen to a podcast, and yours is not aired, so then they flip to a different one, and then boom, that's all it took.
And that podcast is always better, fuckers.
I think this one's great. You guys are hilarious. It's unscripted, and it's really good.
Yeah,
I think
part of it,
I've been listening to you guys for a while, like here and there, and you guys are funny.
Well, thank you.
That's my favorite part, is that, because we talk about jumbled, and Al, we had a joke at our wedding where one of our table cards was like fun facts about Ali and I, and we actually said jumbled, and a bunch of my friends started listening, who were there, and then they kept listening, and it made me almost nervous, because I'm like, well, now I know they're listening, and they said it was good, and I don't want to let them down.
Right.
It just adds this other level of stress.
I still deal with the thought that it's in the back of my mind, anytime somebody compliments the podcast, I'm like, are you just saying that because I'm here in front of you, or do you actually
I totally get that.
do you actually enjoy the podcast? Because it's literally just two dudes talking about what the fuck ever comes into our brains. How that's entertaining at all to anybody, I don't know, but thank you very much for continuing to listen. I do appreciate it a lot.
I mean, it kind of depends on what state we're in too. I've said some really funny shit.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Frank, if you had to lose 1 cent, what would it be?
1 cent?
Cents.
Oh, 1 cent. Wow, that's a tough one, because I like all my senses.
I think okay, let me rephrase, because I think Johnny asked the wrong question.
No, I asked it strategically.
If you had to lose one body part, what would that body part be?
I don't know. I like all my body parts. But if I had to, probably my right foot. I don't know.
A foot. See, it's not so bad. So Zach asked me this question.
I just wear one of those prosthetic.
Like a wood thing, yeah. So my head was where you were. I was thinking something that was actually impactful. So Zach asked me this question. I said, my ears?
And no, I can't lose your ears. I love music.
You can still hear, just not as well. And Zach's response was I don't know, my fucking pinky toe or something. It's not that big of a deal. I was like, oh, fuck.
Wait, what episode was that on? I think I listened to that actually.
I don't even remember which one. It's
in
called
the 40s.
it's called Whistling Earholes, I think is the name of the episode.
think-
I was in a different realm when we recorded that.
Yeah.
I was not
Different
on
mental
Earth.
space. Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Somewhere else.
Probably, yeah, my right foot. It's not good at soccer. You know. I don't know.
Never
It
drive
can't kick a ball.
drive a manual again. I guess you could make that work.
No, yeah, no. Like there's actually this one Instagram girl. I don't know her, but like she's very famous on there because she has a prosthetic leg and she still kills it. She's still snowboarding. She's still swimming.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hype. Like it's so sick, and you know, like if I had to lose, like obviously I don't like losing any body part, but if I had to, probably be my right foot. It's probably the slower foot of mine.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. See, Zach.
I'm still sticking with the pinky toe. Like I just
What was the bet that we had out of that? That it was so much money to cut off your pinky toe. I think it was like $2,000 or something.
yeah, it wasn't that much.
No, well, you can go online and see what body parts are worth. I think a pinky toe is worth more than $2,000.
What? That's a thing.
That's a thing. Like black market, you can put a price tag on a pinky toe.
Zach,
sure.
you know what we're talking about.
Should we
next
Google
week.
it right now? David, can you Google how much is a pinky toe on the black market?
I'm sure especially in like the American healthcare system, they put a price on everything of like, oh, you lost your pinky and your ring finger. Well, we can put your pinky on for $5,000, but your ring finger is like $10,000.
Yeah.
Isn't it the same fucking thing?
Well, you have to put one of them on layaway and then just pay on it for a long time.
Put that on ice.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
man.
God bless America.
No, yeah, for real. Like I had one client when I was working at Auto Dream. He cut off his 3 fingers, like his pinky. Yeah. And he got a settlement, and the settlement was priced at what those fingers were worth.
That's insane. I guess that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. I guess
I
from
think-
an insurance standpoint, it's like how it impacts quality of life.
Yeah, exactly. And
I
like,
think
the damages.
And how it impacts your work, you know, like there's you know, if you're a hand model and you lose 3 of your fingers, well, hey, good luck being a hand model now, you know,
Well,
like
you could get into some weird fetish porn, you know.
oh yeah. I mean, you still got these 2. That's all you need, right?
Maybe that's all you need, Zach.
Hey dude, it makes a circle. That's all that's all I need. I just need a circle. You know, since we've already gone to this sort of space mentally, I did run across something on the internet this week, and it's completely unrelated to anything that we've been talking about so far, and it's
Excellent.
definitely not related to anything Frank is bringing to the table. It's probably too lowbrow for what he signed up for. I ran across this real estate listing that is for a really nice house just outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the States, selling for $750,000. And it's a really nice looking house, and the listing brings you through all the rooms, really nice looking kitchen, bathrooms, and bedrooms, and all that stuff, and then it takes you to like this walkout basement that is a literal sex dungeon.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow,
but
I can't believe you called that one.
he
I
really
can see it in his eyes.
yeah. you know me
Zach
so
got
well, dude.
financing approved already.
Yeah, no, I'm actually moving there next week, and
So, having moved out of a house and sold a house and like listing it, I was so like, you were really comfortable with your sexuality to be like, yo, I'm gonna post my house with this, you know, giant sex dungeon in the basement.
Dude.
That's cool. Like most realtors would be like, yo, maybe clean this stuff up. Like when we sold our house, we had no sex dungeon, but they're like, yo, paint this and maybe put this stuff away, like make it a little bit more presentable. And this couple's just like, fuck it.
yeah. No, and that's the thing. I don't know that they knew it. I sent you the link. Check it out. I don't know that they
50
knew.
Shades of Maple.
Yeah, Maple Glen. Yep. So they, I don't know that they. I think either they
Oh my
knew it
God,
was
it's
going to be a
not.
thing.
What?
Either they knew it was going to be a thing, like a majorly big thing, or whoever took the pictures just is like the most pure, sweet person that I would ever know. You know, like they just like, oh, well, it's like a weird art piece or something like that. But just had no idea.
This caption. Photos of said basement show several S&M style devices, all fitted with different types of whips, chains, and anything else one may need for an erotic night.
Yeah.
A la Christian Grey.
Yep. My
A
favorite.
large, intimidating bed. How's a bed intimidating? I guess that's...
It's
Dude,
really
no,
intimidating
look
to
at
at.
it.
It's a little
There's
intimidating.
there's
Cage
a
on it.
yeah, there's a spot where you can put your head through whatever that
There's
thing's
like a
called.
Guillotine.
Or the-
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's...
I can't remember what that's called, but
know.
yeah. It's
I kinda
like
wanna
I
build
said,
this.
you guys are welcome. You guys are welcome to come out anytime. You know, we can stay on separate floors and stuff, and we share the first floor, and
Wait,
you know,
is this
it
an
doesn't have to be a
Airbnb?
weird. It doesn't have to be a weird thing. It was. I think they're trying to sell it.
Oh yeah, it's currently being offered as an Airbnb rental. Gets $750 a night on weekdays, $2,000 a night on weekends for private parties and entertainment.
Oh, they allow parties. Crazy.
Yeah.
I want my birthday party here.
Dude.
Yeah. I'll probably stay upstairs.
You know what? Let's just get weird, Johnny. Let's all just take a trip out to Philadelphia. It'll just be really strange. We'll bring the significant others, and it can just be a sort of a thing
what
we
do you-
never talk about again. You know?
What do you think?
Turn
are
the lights
odds that
off.
The people who own this house are serial killers.
It's higher than normal. It's higher than normal that they're serial killers, but
That's awesome.
I don't know. I see the one thing that keeps drawing my eye, and I don't know why it's this one thing. There is like a knight's armor in one of these pictures. I don't know why you have to have a knight's
yeah.
armor, but
there's
I
a knight
assume
on
that
that.
somebody is wearing that at
I
some
was gonna
point.
say, how about? There's definitely someone that's stuck in there right now.
Yeah.
Or they put a camera in there or something.
This is like from an adult's version of a Goosebumps book.
it really is. But we don't
Aside
need.
from all that though, it's all finished really nicely. Like
It's
Dude.
a great,
the furniture
great
is
woodwork.
really nice. Yeah.
Great woodworking. How do you
Really
think they
nice.
manage, infection control? Like, how do they,
Oh, they'd have to
Like,
sanitize
just-
everything.
like just some hand wipes and just rub her down real quick and call it a day?
No, it's got to go stronger than that.
Would you turn off all the lights and look around with a black light?
100%.
Dude, that whole place would be like a disco, man. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so glad you shared this.
I'm really glad too. And I as soon as I saw it, I was like, this has to be something I talk about on the podcast. There's no way I can get around not bringing this up.
So I don't know if I want to know how you found this, but for any of my future friends that are getting married, and if I'm part of your wedding in any way, shape, or form, this is the house I'm going to be suggesting that we do the bachelor party in.
Dude, 100%. 100%. You're missing out if you're not doing things there. You know?
Yeah, just gotta live a little, you know?
Yep. You gotta live a little in the sex dungeon.
Awesome. All right, so we're getting close to that hour mark. Any final thoughts or questions for Frank while he's still in the hot seat now that he's warmed up?
I think I'm a little taken back with this sex dungeon that I'm just staring at right now.
It's hard to move
blown
on.
up.
It's hard to move on.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
have nightmares about this thing.
We'll go back to Zach's face here.
No, bring it back. No.
Okay.
Need a minute? Wait, why did the camera changed angle somehow?
Oh wow, look, it's more wide angle now. Now I can. Oh, Zach can finally see what.
Oh yeah, see
all
half your
look like.
face.
Like an hour later, and we figured out how to make it look somewhat
Look at that.
reasonable.
Look at that. I don't really have much else that I want to sort of get in about, but I just want to say, Frank, it's really cool, what your business is doing, and really a lot of props to you and kudos, and I think it's an important thing to remember that there's always people going through the same stuff you're going through, and you're not alone in your struggles.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out to friends, family, loved ones, and 3310. Frank, thanks so much for being on and sharing your story and the work that you're doing. Take a couple minutes to shout out all your social media or where people can find you, your website. It's our hope and expectation that our listeners go out and support Frank and 3310 and buy some sick, comfy clothes. But yeah, feel free to where can our listeners go?
So they can go onto my website, which is 3310.ca, and then check it out. Check to see what's available out there, and then follow us on Instagram, which is 3310. And I have to emphasize 10 is spelt out TEN, so 33TEN .ca is the website, and then the Instagram is .co. I'm thinking about changing it to like something else, like on Instagram, like 3310 clothing or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I know
it's getting confusing.
When I was placing my order, I was like just Googling it, and I was putting it like 3310.
Yeah,
and it was like taking me all kind of weird. I was like, what the fuck? I was
the
just
Nokia
on this.
phone. but yeah, no. You guys can go there, check it out, check the Instagram and all the very beautiful influencers, male and female.
That is true.
You know,
beautiful people all around.
And then just I don't know, join the newsletter, because I will be posting like when the next events are and stuff like that, where we'll be, and you can come hang out. You know, share your story, and know that everybody goes through it. Even those that go through it don't want to show it, and that's the saddest part, right? So, so we'll help each other out. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate it, and thank you for having me. And shout outs to everybody that's worked with me and helped me grow as a business and as a cause. So. Yeah,
and probably as a person too, right? Growing, you've probably done a lot of growing as a person too.
100%. I've learned a lot, and never really started my own company until then. And I learned how to do a lot of stuff, and
yeah, no kidding,
it's pretty cool. So
it's a lot. It takes a lot more than I think people realize, and I think it's good too that the message. I think that you're part of what you're sharing is that, especially on social media, we always see the highlights. So I think people. Even me, like knowing you and knowing that you're working hard on it, but you see all these awesome shots with cool models and photographers and great places, and you're like, oh, like Frank's living the dream. But people don't really get to see all the work and the behind the scenes effort that you put into it. So, and I think that's a good message for people having those challenges and comparing their lives to what they see on social media. Remember that there's a lot more that goes in behind the scenes than it looks. So don't let that get to you. Make sure you reach out and take care of yourself, and find a way to work through whatever it is that's challenging you. So
100%.
Absolutely.
Well said. Because like just to kind of go off that, although my Instagram looks like it's super awesome and stuff like that, but like these are normal people too, and they go through challenges every day, and like they're reaching out, and for that one, like we said earlier, that one photo, it takes so much to make it happen. Hours to make it happen.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Even this podcast, like it takes hours to try and set up.
Right. I definitely learned some things today.
You learned that there are possibilities, and that sometimes the solution is just to go to the original thing that you suggested 30 minutes prior to when we actually started.
Caveman style.
100%.
All right. Zach, take us out.
Yeah, Frank, so sort of just bear with me here. I try to make this quicker every single week. This is just our outro. Thanks again, Frank, for stopping by. You're welcome anytime you want to come on. It's been a really great conversation, and looking forward to seeing what you got coming down the pipeline, man. So if you guys want to check us out on social media, just search for Jumbled Podcast. That we're everywhere and sometimes nowhere at the same time, but stick around and follow us there. If you want to send any emails to us, that would be jumbledpodcast@gmail.com or johnny.jumbled@gmail.com. Dick pics only, remember.
They've really slowed down. So
Yeah, so we gotta get working on that, guys. We expect more from you guys as far as that goes. And want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook, because everybody likes audiobooks. And go over to patreon.com/jumbled and pay $500 to get us an address. And hey, maybe we'll find our way out to the $750,000 mansion, and we'll take some risque pictures in said dresses for... Dude,
Share the link.
somebody, okay, new tier, guys, okay? If you can get us $750 or $2,000, we'll Airbnb it, and we'll just do something weird inside of the sex dungeon, all right?
Yeah, you guys will record your next podcast in the sex dungeon.
Oh, can you imagine?
I want to be in the stock thing where you're locked with my head in my hands.
Dude, and then I'll be in the sex wing, and then we'll try to make it work. We'll just try
need a photographer. You interested?
Yeah, we got
Photographer's down. Here we go.
Perfect. I don't even remember where I was. Anyway, we appreciate you guys listening, and please make sure to check back next week. Oh, by the way, sorry, I've been leaving this out recently. I don't know why my outro has been leaving this part out. Listen to us everywhere you want to. Head over to iTunes and give us a rating and review. I've been forgetting to say this for like the past month. I don't know if anybody's left us a rating and review because I haven't checked, because I'm just having fun with it now.
Give us a review. We'll look at it, but give us a review.
I'll make sure to check it soon, okay?
Good
but
job,
please give us a rating and review. It does help us out a lot. Helps sponsors sort of learn our name and to be able to offer you guys fun things for you to try out. We're on iTunes, Google Play Music, Libsyn, Spotify. Basically, wherever you listen to your podcasts, we're there. So check us out. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Tell your grandparents. Me and Johnny love the grandparents. And have them send us a 10 of cookies as well. Guys, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of Jumbled, your favorite podcast.
About taking care of each other.
There you go. See you guys.